And welcome to Up to the Minute. It is hashtag Finally Friday. Also, it is Film Friday. And it's a Friday, which means we're joined by Frank, who's here with us this morning. Welcome to Up to the Minute, by the way, folks. We've got your HCC news and information for the next half hour. Frank Cooper joining us. You know, Frank, it's good to see you again. We haven't had a chance to catch up since your little vacation. You come back to Houston and we're the frozen tundra.
You know what? I have the worst best luck because like Hurricane Harvey, I was in London. Hurricane Ike, I was in Puerto Rico. So it's like every time it's like I get a sign from like the traveling gods to leave right before a natural disaster happens. It's crazy.
Okay, so we're gonna hook you up with the mayor and the county judge. All right, and we're gonna have you notify them when you're going out of town, so we can start preparations for some type of natural occurrence or disaster. So that's not a good thing, Frank.
I'm gonna have Mayor Turner and the rest of the world call me the traveling shaman.
There you go. Well, you know, you and I talked last week, though. You just check in on you to see how things are going. It seems like you fared okay through the storm, though. You got back, then it got real cold.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I got back like Tuesday night, and that morning my pipe bursted. So
yeah,
it was a welcoming back to Houston that I wish I didn't get. But
yeah,
luckily for me, it was just a sprinkler pipe, so it wasn't anything major. I hadn't any major flooding, so very, very lucky. And you know, again, the HCC family checking up on me and checking up on all of our coworkers. You know, people don't tend to realize that we're more of a family than just coworkers. You know, we've been around to get each other for years. So
right. And people think we just talk on the show, but we do have a meeting every day. We talk all the time. And, you know, when we talked last week, I was giving you a call just to make sure you were up along with the whole HCCTV staff. So good to see you back. Social media, you want to remind some folks?
Absolutely. So the show is 5 days a week, but just in case you missed it, we're on YouTube as well with the latest notifications. Just look up at Houston Community College, HCC Up to the Minute. You get the latest episodes on campus interviews, what's going on around all your campuses. And we're also on social media. So Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat. Check out all the links on all of our social media platforms. Let's grow the show.
All right, Frank, stick around. We're going to bring you back in a little while. Stand by if you would. First, we want to introduce Marian Lutz. You are the curator of film at the Museum of Fine Arts, Houston. Good morning, Marian. How are you?
I'm great. It's great to be here, and thanks so much for having me. I love talking about movies. Well,
we love your background, and for folks who aren't familiar with it, it ties into movies. Maybe you can tell us what's behind you.
Sure. This is a scene from the Cannes Film Festival on the French Riviera. I was able to attend a virtual edition of it when they canceled the live edition in the last spring. And they gave us, you know how when you go someplace, you often get a swag bag? So they gave us virtual swag bags with virtual Zoom background. So
that's very cool. So you got a bright and sunny background. Weather's a little different here in Houston, but we're looking forward to talking with you more about the museum's film program, and we'll be back with you shortly. So if you'd please stand by. We've also got, he's back, Dr. Jimmy Adams, who's our college operations officer of HCC Northeast College, but most importantly, he's also our resident poet. It is good to see you, Dr. Adams. How are you?
I am doing good. It's good to be back after all this cold weather and storm and just surviving that. I'm happy to be here.
You know, I said earlier in the week, if I take a week and a half of work off, I don't want to spend 1 week of that literally trying to survive. That's not a vacation for me, and I know you certainly feel the same. You know, we had a rundown that was sent to us by our producer yesterday, Melanie, and you had a different poem in your rundown. Then she sends me a note this morning and says, Dr. Adams woke up in the middle of the night and he was inspired to write something new. So is that how it works with you? You got a new piece and you were inspired in the middle of the night.
I was inspired in the middle of the night. And, you know, I've just been reflecting back on, the events that happened at the Capitol with this insurrection and, this political division and, the violence at the Capitol and dealing with this pandemic and racial injustice. And, this being Black History Month, I always wanted, to reflect on some of the positive things that happened, the past. And, the poem I had originally I wanted to do, or reflection, was Free at Last, A Dream Realized. That was in reference to Dr. King's I Have a Dream speech. And so my reflection is more of responding to that speech in reference to what's happening now today in society. And these are some of the words I came up with, and I want to share those with you guys.
All right, folks, this is a first time, fresh out of the box, fresh out of the mind of Dr. Jimmy Adams, just written earlier this morning. Dr. Adams, you want to give us the title and let's go into it.
Yeah. The title of this piece is United Still We Fight. And it's a combination of Free at Last and A Dream Realized. But I want to bring in some of that context, but into a new reflection based on how I was feeling this morning in reference to all of that. So I'll start off with my little introduction, and then I'll lead into the new piece.
Sounds good. We look forward to hearing.
I was born and raised in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, in the heart of the segregated South, where a railroad separated blacks from white. Color-only signs were a reality. Jim Crow was law. Racism and hatred and injustice was a reality. So as I reflect on the Black experience in America, I am reminded of our struggle that I endured and the struggles of those before me in our fight for freedom, justice, and equality. So I'm reminded of one person's commitment to this struggle that changed the course of history, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. One historic day, August the 28th, 1963, Dr. King delivered his legendary I Have a Dream speech. And since that day, we all have been fighting to make his dream a reality. Since Dr. King's speech over 50 years ago, we can now vote, we can attend the college of our choice, we don't have to ride in the back of the bus, we can sit down and eat at a lunch counter with everyone else. But considering where we have been and where we are today, in my eyes, a dream has been realized. Yet the events on January the 6th, 2021 reminds us that we are still a divided nation. It reminds us that we still have a long way to go to continue to realize Dr. King's dream. But united, we will continue to fight for justice and equality. So this is my reflection of the meaning of these events, and it's titled, United Still We Fight. As the sun rises over this nation, it shines light on a society divided. It paints a tragic picture of our past. A dark day of reality emerged from the night. The shoulders of our ancestors continue to carry a heavy burden. Their footsteps in which we trod continue to travel an ever-ending road of hope with no end in sight. United, still we fight. Although we stand emancipated, a proclamation once recognized, enduring nights of captivity may have ended, but the flames of injustice continue to burn through the night. United, still we fight. What does the right of equality taste like? What does freedom feel like? Has our beacon of hope been exhausted or extinguished? Have the chains of discrimination shackled us again? Have we moved from integration to segregation? Have we once again been exiled to the corners of society of our nation? Hatred, oppression extended, our Constitution challenged, our Declaration of Independence lies in the balance. Brotherhood, dignity, equality, compromised. But words are words, and won't make things right. United, still we fight. Our pursuit of life liberty, and happiness is slipping from our hands. The doors of opportunity have begun to close for all of us to be judged by the content of our character, not by the color of our skin. Justice we must keep in sight. United, still we fight. To cross the warm threshold of justice, can we walk in concert as one? Black and white together, can we speak in one voice? Because our destinies do intertwine. Can we do what is right? United, still we fight. So as we march ahead, we must link arms unafraid. We must carry signs that read for all only. We must do what is right. United, we must fight. Today, on the lawn of our capital, we are not exempt from suffering. We are not exempt from violence. We are not exempt from brutality. Justice and righteousness is not on our side. But we will not hide. We will march ahead through our trials and through our tribulations. There will be no turning back. Freedom and justice brings from the depths of the past. Freedom is our right. United, still we fight. Thank you.
Always some incredible words that you deliver on this show. Certainly get you thinking going into the weekend. You know, those events that happened on January 6th, you know, it was like we were watching a 911 moment, you know, from 9/11. The country changed, things have changed dramatically, and you can only hope as we move forward that it's changed for the better. Right now, in the short term, we see, if you go to Washington, D.C., you see a chain link fence around several of our monuments in the Capitol, you know, because of those events. But you hope as we move forward, those events change us and put us in a trajectory that we all can do a lot better. Yeah.
So united is the way we get there. And as you can see, we have to come together as a nation.
Yeah.
You know, what's so glaring is that we're still so divided. It didn't seem that way until this, you know, these events. You know, everything has been, you know, covered up or uncovered, but we still haven't made a whole lot of progress when it comes to us working together as a nation. And so hopefully, you know, with our new administration, I think we're making some positive steps toward that. And hopefully, you know, we can unite together to get through all of these issues, you know, this pandemic, all of this racial injustice, this political division. We used to be able to settle our differences, whether we were Republican or Democrats.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
As one, as a voice of the people to do what is right for the people of, you know, this country. So that is and you know, Martin Luther King's dream was just for equality for all.
Sure.
For all of us to, you know, have the right to go to school, the right, you know, to ride public transportation, to eat at the counter with everybody. So now we're in a new era. And we need to reflect. So that reflection is on Dr. King's speech in some regards, if you go back and read that, and you can see what he was fighting for. And I think we realized those dreams, but we still got a long way to go in order to continue to achieve it.
Dr. Adams, certainly a lot of work for all of us to be done at this point. We've only got a minute or two left, but real quickly, Northeast College, I know several of our campuses had some damage from the winter storm with pipe burst. What's the situation at Northeast College and how are you guys operating?
Okay, so at Northeast, we did pretty good. We only had some minor leaks. So we were able to get our students back on campus on Wednesday.
Okay.
We came back Wednesday. I know some folks are coming back after spring break, some of the face-to-face stuff. So we fared pretty good. I think it may have been our North Southwest campus that may have suffered most of the major damage with some major leaks, but overall, I think we did pretty good, and we were able to address the minor issues that we had. So we're looking forward. We've got students back, and we're continue to do what we do.
Dr. Adams, we appreciate you joining us this morning. As always, we look forward to seeing you next month. Have a great weekend.
All right, you guys take care. Be safe out there.
All right. We're going to move over to the Museum of Fine Arts, Houston. Marion Lutz is joining us once again. Good to see you, Marion. How are you?
I'm good. It's good to see you too, Todd. Thanks for having me today.
I want to ask you off the top, because I know a number of our museums had to close in Houston and across the country because of the pandemic. You guys closed, reopened. Where are you now with customers being able to come in?
Thanks for asking. I also wanted to just say a few words to salute Dr. Adams for his eloquence and those very powerful words that are quite thought-provoking, and really appreciated hearing them this morning. So thanks very much to him for that. So the Museum of Fine Arts Houston in the Museum District reopened to the public in late May and remains open for people to visit. We're open from Wednesday through Sunday, and there are more limited hours than we had before the pandemic, but we have our galleries installed. We have a brand new building, the Kinder building, that opened in late November, which is remarkable because what people will experience is really an entirely transformed institution, because a lot of the works of art that are in our collection that were in storage are now available for people to experience as they walk through. And it really takes more than one visit, but I encourage people to go to the website mfah.org and learn more about how to visit, and also wanted to mention two brand new exhibitions that we have just opened. One called Hockney Van Gogh, The Joy of Nature, which people have been saying because of the vibrant palette that both those artists use is just what we need right now as a mood elevator. And then a fascinating exhibition called Electrifying Design, A Century of Lighting, that opened this week as well.
You know, we've been members of the Museum of Fine Arts Houston several times, and you always get some great benefits there. And from what I understand, you might have a few memberships left, but people have to act fast, correct?
Well, it's really open to everyone. You can be, you don't have to be a member. I think this is an important point. Anybody can visit. We are free of charge on Thursdays, and people can buy a membership and get free and discounted admission. But if you have some people, this, of course, some of this is based on our current situation with the pandemic, but if you have somebody visiting town, the museum is a great place to visit. We also have an outdoor sculpture garden that people can come into, and a plaza with wonderful works of art.
Well, we're looking forward to hearing about the film program. I know the Brown Auditorium Theater is a Houston institution, and you guys, you know, I know I've been there several years ago to see a film. I haven't been the last few years, but from what I'm understanding, because of the pandemic, has a virtual cinema that's available to people right now.
You're exactly right, Todd. That's the term that was used when theaters around the world had to close because of the pandemic a little over a year ago. And we were very fortunate to be able to transition to streaming platforms so that we could show the same diverse selection of films that people would have been coming to see in the theater in a streaming space. So it's ticketed streaming platforms, and we have a great variety of films at any given time, and you can watch it from home on your own schedule. It's not as if you have to come to the movie at 7 o'clock on Friday night or you might miss it. That's one of the silver linings.
And I know you've got a picture of Cannes, France behind you, but you also have a French film festival coming up soon.
Yes, excellent segue. We have a month-long French Film Festival from March 3rd to the 28th, which we have arranged with support from some generous local sponsors, the Alliance Française, and some individual donors. And it's also part of the French Cultures Festival that our French Cultural Services of the French Embassy puts on. You can see a lot of French-themed events throughout the month. But for us, we chose 10 films, and we partnered with our friends in Boston. So if you know anyone in Boston, the festival is also streaming in Boston through our friends at an organization called Department Department of Time and Space. But what we wanted to do was to feature the French diaspora. So there is a film about a Moroccan chef who travels to Paris trying to make his way and encounters the experiences of an immigrant abroad. We have comedies, we have romance, we have 2 films based on true events that happened in history that are interpreted in one case by a talented animator and in another case as a dramatic film. And then what's kind of interesting at this moment we're in is that we have several films featuring French actors who people will recognize from Netflix shows. So that's another reason people may be intrigued.
Yeah, because Netflix has really opened the door, because you got all these recognizable actors from all over the world that are on continuous Netflix shows, and that gives them a new notoriety as well. Starting Monday, it's going to start a Women's History Month, and I know you guys are recognizing that with a few of your films.
It's true. March is celebrated as Women's History Month, and we have, I think, 14 women-directed films, some of which started streaming in February and are continuing, and others will be opening throughout the month of March. So there are documentaries, there are features, there are films in different languages, really something for all tastes. But it seemed particularly important, and I would also say that Friday is always Female Filmmaker Friday, so especially happy to be talking about that today. But really a variety of films. We have a program of shorts called Five. It is 5 short films by women about female entrepreneurs around the world. And so there's really a great selection of what people can watch.
Speaking of short films, when you're watching the Oscars, you always see these films that are short films that are women winning an Oscar, and you're thinking, where do I see that? How do I get a chance? You guys apparently are showing some of these Oscar-nominated films.
Yeah, this is really great also for the HCC filmmaking students. This is a great opportunity because short films are what a lot of people start out with before they make their features. So the Oscar-nominated short films are organized annually in 3 different programs. There's animation, there's live action, and there's documentary. And these are films by talented makers from around the world. So you may see something that is very slick and commercial. You will see something that is very compelling and politically oriented. And they have now narrowed down the nominees. So if you go to an Oscars website, you will see the 10 films that are currently on the short list. And that'll be narrowed down to 5 in each of those genres. And we will be streaming all of these from April 10th to May 10th. And again, this is something we formally did and packed people into the Brown Auditorium, which is a large venue, to watch the Oscar-nominated shorts. And what's great is that you can watch them from home. You can help if you're doing an Oscar pool with your friends. You will have actually seen the film, so you can make an informed decision about which films you think might win.
That is exciting because like I said, I always watch the Oscars and you wonder, how can I see these films? Because they weren't really accessible. One thing I want to mention to you, because we talked about this before we went on the air, and it's been in the news, especially for the last 24 hours, but we're looking at maybe losing one of Houston's most historic theaters with the River Oaks Theater. My fear is, there was a day when we had blockbusters everywhere. You could go rent movies, go take your kids, go rent all the VHSs and DVDs you wanted. And people would say, those are going to go away one day. And I said, that'd never happen. Could we be facing that with theaters? I mean, we've got several large ones thinking of closing up.
Let's hope not, and let's be patient. And also, when you are comfortable, if you're not going to theaters now, when you're comfortable, definitely go to the River Oaks Theater. They have social distancing and safety and health protocols in place, but it's been very transformational. You'll see many film festivals have had virtual editions rather than being able to be in person. There's a real renaissance of outdoor and drive-in movies, which I think is super cool. But speaking about theaters, art houses like the River Oaks, which is part of the national chain of landmark theaters, they have really suffered when they reopened, and some of them haven't reopened. It just depends on the individual city and state. But the River Oaks Theater has reopened, and I know that they are doing their best to show movies that people want to see. Right now they're showing Nomadland, which is one of my favorite films of the past year, for example. And I think the community will rally as has happened in the past and show that this is a valued and beloved cultural institution for our city, especially our film lovers in Houston.
We hope they all stay around. We appreciate the work you do, Marian Luntz, film curator of the Museum of Fine Arts Houston. Thanks for being here today.
My pleasure. Nice to see everybody.
And folks, we'll have a link to them in the social media post for the show. And students, by the way, we got a great film program here at HCC. You can register today at hccs.edu/now. All right, moving on to Frank Cooper. He's back in the house with some news and announcements. And Frank, we'll take a minute or two afterwards to talk about some crazy sports things that are going on, because I know it's right up your alley. But first thing I want to talk about is the Mesa Open Mic Night.
Absolutely. So HCC's Music Entertainment Student Association, or MESA, is hosting an open mic night for artists and musicians to sign up and perform virtually, of course. And it will be streamed on social media. So 8 p.m. today, Friday, February 26th. For more questions regarding that, email hcc.mesa.central@gmail.com.
All right, I'm going to let our director know I'm skipping down to the virtual coffee breaks for the sake of time, because we want to promote what Janet May has coming up. Now, Janet May is our Chief Human Resources Officer here at HCC. She does her own reality show. No, it's a little talk show she does online. And she's got Tuesday, March 2nd, Christine Mompoint, the United Student Council president, will be joining her. So all you USC fans out there, and I'm talking about the United Student Council, make sure you join Christine Mompoint. Check your emails to register. It's a great show and you should definitely check it out. Filmmaking Learning Series, we've been talking about that for the last 10 minutes or so, Frank.
Absolutely. So these weekly presentations by local, regional, and national entertainment industry professionals continue with Michelle Maurer. So noon to 2 p.m. Wednesday, March 3rd, and it's free, guys. So for more information about that, email michael.cohn, that's COHN as in Nathan, at hccs.edu.
Okay, student work study program. Students, you're needing money to pay for college. We've got a solution for you. It's our work study program. You can start 2021 off the right way. Sign up for a job around HCC. There are certain jobs and they factor into your scholarship, and you don't have to pay it back. You simply go to work for places like HCCTV. We have a lot of student work study students on our roster, so we'd love to have you work for us or other jobs across the campus. Go to, well, it's a very long website. We're going to put that in the social media post for the show, but click on it and certainly get some funding to pay for your college. Real quickly, we've got year-round enrollment here at HCC, and most importantly, we have two versions of online learning, online anytime and online in a schedule, and then Flex Campus, that should be returning to campus. It's like a hybrid model. That should be returning soon, and lab-based courses. But Frank, there is one place they can go to register anytime and all the time.
Absolutely. So for all those options that Todd just mentioned, go to hccs.edu/now. You can go there and register, see all the latest classes, updates regarding all the campuses and what's going on with your classes, with your class, with your different subject matter.
That's right. Register anytime. We have year-round enrollment. So Frank, few crazy things have been going on. Last week, we had that huge winter storm. You know, most of us, including myself, for the better part of 6 days, didn't have any power. But apparently, the McNairs either had some power over at their house, over at Energy. They must have some generators going. And apparently, Frank, it gets better. They grabbed the new coach, and they had a conversation with Deshaun Watson. Did you hear about that?
I did. From what I've heard, it was virtually. Coach Carly had a meeting with Watson, and Watson said straight up to his face, like, I still don't want to be here. So pretty much, I'm paraphrasing what he said, but it's not going. And this is what I find so funny, Todd, is that the Houston Brass, the Texan Brass are saying that we're not trading, we have no interest in trading him. But if we are, wink, wink, we want 3 first-round picks, 2 seconds, and 2 defensive players. Yeah. What is it? Or you have no interest in trading him? Or,
right. If we did, we'd be looking for all of this and then some.
Exactly. So their bluffing face is not good right now.
Yeah, I don't know who taught these guys how to play poker. They probably don't allow card playing down over at NRG, but who knows? But it's just a mess, you know. And I think a lot of Houston fans, when this started off, they were like, "Well, Deshaun, stick to your guns." Now people are just like, "Let's just move on." Separate, because each day it seems to be more and more of a train wreck with the Houston Texans.
Yeah, I mean, I played football, and football is the ultimate team sport. There's so many moving parts, but when you have a star player who does not want to be there, it permeates throughout the whole franchise, throughout the whole
James
team.
Harden, you know, look at that.
James Harden, you know, all these different star players. So just do yourself a favor, cut your ties, get what you can, and rebuild, because
Yeah.
you don't want a bad apple there that messes around and affects the rest of the team.
Well, if you look back and, I'll make this a bit of an analogy, but if you remember back to the Dallas Cowboys before they had the glory days of winning the Super Bowls in the 90s, they made that big Herschel Walker trade. And they received a whole bunch of players and draft picks, and that led to getting Emmitt Smith. That led to getting Troy Aikman. Look what happened, though, within the next 5 to 6 years. But then again, you had Jimmy Johnson as the coach, and, you had a good coach. Well, we can't speak what's going to be with David Culley because the man just isn't, he hasn't had a chance to do anything yet. But you got to look at that and say, well, it worked out for them.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And this is now 35 years ago. This player empowerment with these NFL players now, like quarterbacks are pretty much CEOs on the team. And when you have a great quarterback who has such a great influence, not only on the football field, but in the community.
Oh, absolutely.
He has bargaining chips that most players just don't have, especially in a league where NFL players don't have guaranteed contracts. So for a player like Deshaun Watson, who has so much influence, and you can get a haul for him while the iron's hot, just do it already.
Yeah, I mean, it's time to move on with life and get a new story besides hearing about a non-football operations guy all the time and, your star player who doesn't want to be here. You need better stories, so we'll see what happens. Frank, it's always good to see you. Hey, next week, maybe we can talk about the Cougars moving on with more wins because they're doing real well.
They won last night again. I think they won 6 straight games now. They're high.
Well, they did lose one last week. They lost a game.
Okay.
Yeah, Wichita. So, but and they're going to keep moving forward. Well, it's good to see you back in the saddle. We'll see you again next Tuesday, right?
Good to be back. Yes, sir. Tuesday.
All right. We want to remind everyone on Monday, we've got Dr. Sean Fitzpatrick. Always nice to talk with him from the Jung Center. He visits us every month, talks about mental health check. And if you haven't seen him, you got to check it out, and we'll talk with him. And we're going to be speaking with Raquel Sims, who will be here as she's a producer with HCCTV out in Stafford, but she'll also be here to help me co-host the show. So we will see you live 10 a.m. Monday morning. Have a great weekend.